Welcome to Flesh and Pod, a Flesh and Blood podcast, breaking down weekly news and notes from the tournament scene, community drama, game strategy, and more. And now, here are your hosts, Derek and Logan.
Hello, and welcome to episode 97 of Flesh and Pod. I am Logan. I am your host. With me, as always, is the perpetual optimist, Derek Oswald.
Optimism. That's why they named the set Bright Lights, because they were like, somebody sees the good in the world, the brightness that lights up the world of Wraith, and that person is Charmer, and we want to dedicate to him not just a reveal card, but an entire set. So they named it Bright Lights. Now you know the rest of the story.
This is Paul Harvey. Good day.
It's a deep cut that people that are not like ancient like us probably don't even remember.
That is definitely an icky ick. If you know, you know.
Yeah, it's going to be like that tonight.
It's going to be like that tonight. Derek, did you do anything in Flesh and Blood at all?
I was unable to do any playing this week. I ran into a number of both work-related things, but if you follow me on Twitter, projectile vomiting kids multiple times this week. Once was just yesterday. What's today? Monday? Every day blends together. Yeah, one was just yesterday. Another one was earlier in the week. Things have been wild. So I didn't get to play anything. I did catch some of the Battle Hardened coverage because, of course, I want to support DM Armada and whoever that other guy was. But yeah, that's as far as I made it. I did do like a little bit of Theorycraft testing. I've decided that I still think Teklevasen is going to be my for fun deck, but I say that just because I have a private deck list that I've built for him that I've been trying to like tweak and work on, and there is actually some legitimate promise there. However, the title of my deck, and this should tell you everything, the title of the deck that's currently saved privately on February is Arcane Damage Isn't Real and Can't Hurt Me.
Perfect.
Because that's the entire like thing against any sort of just physical hero. I think that he actually has some legs. But as long as Icelander and Runeblades and Kano exist, he also has some auto losses. Just straight up not having a good time.
Also valid. All these things are true. Teklevasen is an interesting one. I am kind of interested in it. So I did play at Battle Hard in Milwaukee nominally. I was playing Dromai, which, I know fuck the police, but I'm going to try to learn this thing. And it was enlightening, I guess, would be the best way to put it. I finished.
Were your results striking?
Yes.
Okay. So with that combination, did you decide to go again? Add 2 damage, draw a card?
2 damage and draw a card. But
you can't do both.
Yeah, you can do both. But you can stop it. But I lost. I went 4-3. My losses were to Lexi, and Levia. The one of the Lexi losses was very close. I felt like I did it right. I just miscounted in my pitch stack, and I drew a 0 block when having a 0 block was going to kill me. It's a beat. It's whatever. The Levia that I lost to was, I don't think I really had a ton of agency in that game. They set up a perfect Plasmafet, and I was explored anally by Plasmafet. So that happened, and it was brutal. And then the other Lexi I lost to was not even remotely close. That one was, they were playing like Rainbow Winter's Bites, blue and red Arctic Incarceration, so I think it's pretty common. Lightning Presses,
So
it
they
was
were
just
far more elemental and disruption and
big ball of hate.
yeah.
It was just a big ball of hate. I was like, I did one thing. I took one real game action in the first 5 turns, and it was to play a thaw because it was something to do. They didn't attack me. They just gave me a bunch of frostbites. I'm trying to clear them and make a bunch of ash. So I just played a thaw. And he just kind of looked, picked up the card, read it, kind of shrugged and was like, okay, I'll take 6. I'm like, okay, now I can at least kill a frostbite.
Right.
And then he played the Codex of Frailty to put the thaw in my arsenal.
That
Right.
Yeah.
Great. And from there, it just got worse, if that makes any sense.
Have you tried playing the game?
Yes. And I was not able to in that one, but at least my opponents were very gracious. I did end up going. I did end up having a positive elo, which is good. But so then I had a Levia that I did win against. And then I had a Bravo match where I don't think I was ever not in control of that one. It felt like I just had it, and then I had played to the pitch stack because you get 2 against Bravo. It's going to go long, and I played to the pitch stack to be able to toss 2 Chromides on top of 2 Chromite Ashes. And what are you going to do now? And against the Dory matchup, I turn 1 or 2 to Tumultai and ate a piece of equipment, then made him have to attack Dawnblade twice into Tumultai to fade that. So that one felt like I wasn't the corner was very, very turned, and I wasn't worried at all. But now I'm back above water in my constructed elo because I had tanked the ever loving shit out of it accidentally by, well, I guess I shouldn't say I tanked it. I dropped from an event, and then Gem didn't drop me, and they just kept parrying me round after round after round after round. So I just got this like 6 or 7 losses tacked onto me. I'm like, well, I don't really give a shit about my elo because it's not high enough to matter anyway. But at any rate, I did learn a lot, which is where you want to be, and there's true power in the deck. There are cards that I definitely don't think I'd want to play going forward because they just don't make sense to me, especially locally, like into what I see locally. But we'll see. It was fun though. I had a good time. I got to spend the the obligatory 2 45-minute bouts with Flake, like we do. And that was good. Spent some time around Steven and the ferocity family, Phil and Rachel and Max Ferocity and I don't know, Mr. Ferocity. I got nothing, but I had a good time with them and good dinner.
I thought it was Min Ferocity.
Well, it's Min Max. It's Min Max Ferocity.
Right. That's what I'm saying. She's Max Ferocity, and
so he'd be Min Ferocity. Okay, so he's Min Ferocity,
and then they're Min Max Ferocity.
They're Min Max Ferocity. That makes sense. So I'm still paying attention to the Green Bay game because they're now driving to try to, get a go-ahead touchdown out of this. But the top 8 in Milwaukee for the Battle Hard. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and cut the cord now. Every major event this weekend was won by Lexi.
Won by Lexi.
Correct. Every single one.
But the top 8s were still pretty diverse.
Right. I wanted
to pull up the info before you and I started recording because I knew that Lexi said won, but I was like, man, when I was watching coverage, I thought I remembered it still being diverse.
It was.
And I was correct, at least for Milwaukee anyway.
Yeah. And it was, we end up with Lexi winning Milwaukee, Lexi winning Toulouse, Lexi winning Tokyo, Lexi winning the PTI event in Milwaukee, and Lexi winning the PTI event in Tokyo. So absolute clean sweep. For your Discord is just noisy as shit. And
You hear that?
yes, again and again. It's just this incessant beeping. Turn it off. Or I may go insane.
So that's just it. My Discord is always doing that all the time. That's what happens when you're in like 100 different servers because of the esports and casting work you do. I just don't know why you're able to hear it.
Yeah, I know, right? It's a weird one, but we can. But
well, that's bad.
It's interesting that the Dromais, at least in the battle hardened, didn't. None of them were playing Tome of the Imperial Flame, and we're doing fine. Just beep beep beep.
I mean, that's just that.
You are aggressive.
Yeah. Gonna temporarily, I guess, put myself on like do not disturb, and maybe
or just exit the app. I mean, that's a thing you can do too.
I can't. It is buried beneath a bunch of stuff. Because I have it set up like when I close it, it goes to the tray, and then like I've got stuff full screened right now. And
you
so
click the arrow on the taskbar, you right click on the Discord.
That's what I'm telling you. I have stuff full screened right now, so I can't get to the taskbar, and I don't have the arrow on both monitors because
you are impossible.
Yeah, I know. I just D&D'd. It'll be fine. I'm just shocked that you can hear it. That means that for whatever reason, you probably have my full system audio coming through.
I do, yeah.
Like, instead of just my microphone, which is like, can you hear my YouTube right now?
Yeah, sure can.
Wow.
I don't think you should have this power.
You're right. I definitely should have this power. That means that you somehow picked up my entire system audio when I joined this call.
Yes.
Time to fight.
God, will you stop?
No, now I have unlimited power.
And now, yeah, because now you have unlimited power. I can always boot you from here. You have unlimited power.
Salt is a way of life.
Why do we even try? I guess it's been 97 weeks. Why would I stop trying now? So yeah, there's some diversity in here. Brody was the only undefeated after Swiss on Azalea.
Yeah, Azalea.
And then we had an Icelander, again, 2 Dromais, 1 Big Dragon, 1 Redline, a Kano, 2 Lexis, and a Katsu.
That is incorrect. The second Lexi on the graphic that MinMax posted on Twitter.
Oh, it's Bravo. That's right. It's a Bravo.
There was a Bravo as well. Because that's why I was remembering. I was like, man, when I was watching coverage, like I know Lexi won everything, but there was like only one in the top 8. She just happened to be the one who won.
Yeah.
And then there were 2 in the PTI event, but one of them was also Michael Feng. And of course he won. So like, yeah, Lexi won, but also Michael Feng won. So like, yes, Lexi, not pretending that not, you know, the best hero in the format right now, not pretending that it's not a dominant weekend. I'm just saying like there is context, right? I don't want everyone to think you have to play Lexi to win an event. This was just a very interesting series of circumstances.
Yeah, that's true. Bravo's good into Lexi, right? That's the whole thing. And that's sure, it's a good reason to be playing it. Then, like I said, the Katsu in the top 8 is sometimes you get that. Sometimes Katsu just has a good weekend, you know. There's a lot. All the Phis were beat down. The dashes, like the Dash IO decks were a bit unrefined. They're still like lab pieces, right? Because it hasn't been long enough. But when you saw them pop off, they did some super interesting shit, and I'd be very fascinated to see what more they can do as they keep working on those lists.
You know, I will say, as far as the Milwaukee weekend goes, I was very surprised that Max was the most represented of the Bright Lights heroes.
Yep. It was more max than anything else. I think it was, what's the best way to put this? I think it's the easier hero to build into because while the strategy is hard to execute or is the easiest to execute, it's also not, it's the most buildable, right? From everything I've heard, because we have Bright Lights release that happened as well, and there was a very the number of heroes, like majestic heroes that people were pulling out of cases, seemed very low. Especially Teklovasin, and we kind of know why. Teklovasin's the battle hardened promo, so Teklovasin is Steam Magnate.
Right.
So that kind of makes sense. But it's still difficult to kind of wrap your head around. You have heroes, you want people to be able to play the heroes in like classic constructed, but you gatekeep them as majestics. We'll get down into that a little bit later, but I have questions. But the things that like that for this week was we had Bright Lights released officially, so it's out and everywhere. Prices are, I think, still wonky from what I remember, because there's a lot of like the pull rates are low. So yeah, you're down to $25 on Tome of Imperial Flame, which seems about right. It's going to be similar to the Codex of Frailty probably in this set. It'll kind of hover in that $25 to $35 area for its entire life. Or until Dromide's gone. What in the hell was that?
I don't know. It wasn't my computer this time.
I think it was Charmer. Fucking Charmer.
It wasn't me.
I don't believe you. You see,
nothing has happened. I've had no audio on my end. I mean, if you're talking about like, the Raiders just won, like that.
You shut the fuck up.
But there was no audio on my end.
I don't believe you. That's
what
fine.
did it sound like on your end? Because I'm dead serious. I had nothing on mine.
It sounded like a laser beam.
It sounded like a laser beam?
Like a laser beam. Like you're pew-pewing at me. Like you're trying to shoot me. You're trying to shoot my dick off. You were trying to shoot my dick off.
I mean, that sounds like something I would do, but I promise this wasn't my audio. So I did have, this is extra interesting. This is going to be wild if this is I had a Steam notification pop up a second ago, but here's the thing. I have all of my notifications turned off for that. So it doesn't, like, I could see it, but I can't hear it because in my Steam settings,
I also have them turned off, so I don't know what Steam notifications sound like.
Right. So I don't even know if that's it, but that's the only thing that happened on my end.
That'd be amazing if I just have every single system sound, whether or not you have them muted.
Well, I'm starting to wonder if that's the case because I don't know. I don't know.
This is super interesting content for the people listening, by the way. They're just all about it.
Like this is fantastic because I feel omnipotent, right? Like I'm so powerful. Yeah, I feel like I am ascending into the demi-hero version of Charmer. I am so powerful that things that are byproducts of my existence are now invading your personal space. So
my God. So along with the Bright Lights release, we actually saw the contents of Judge Pack 2. That's fucking spicy.
Yeah.
Like, woof. There's a couple of things in there of note. One, and probably the thing that struck me the most is that's where Cold Foil Adult Vinset is. That means that there isn't Cold Foil Adult Vinset from elsewhere. That's a lot.
Well, so first question, because I honestly have not looked, right? And I would expect you to know this. Have they 100% confirmed that the stuff that's in the Judge Packs is only ever going to be there?
So, no, they have said in the past that once something is printed in cold foil, it will never be printed in cold foil again.
Sure, printed, but
Right. And so that's where the question comes in is this a promo elsewhere with the same numbering and the same print and everything else? Now, that'd be that's kind of doing the judges dirty to do that. So I would imagine this is going to be the only time we see it. Like, that feels
possibly. So then
correct.
the next question is this the first sign of, hear me out, what if they are moving cold foils to judge stuff and the other stuff to gold foil heroes? And we just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, that's possible. I could see that.
Right? Like almost like a weird tiering system. Or, and this is the other thing that I was thinking of, because I have a lot of thoughts on this because it obviously sparked a lot of discussion. But the other thing that came to my mind as well is that, if cold foil is there, does this mean that we should expect either another version of Vincent? So I mean, like, same card, but maybe like they print her in another set, but with a different art. And then that art is also the one that gets the cold foil, right? Because she was in a supplemental set, as we know. And heroes that have appeared, like Icelander, can then show up as like a base set later.
Or Benji.
Right? Benji, etc. So that's one thing that crossed my mind. The other thing that crossed my mind is like a Marvel version.
Sure.
Like, I know a lot of people, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more later, but I know a lot of people were upset about like the whole cold foil thing. But, nobody, and I mean this, nobody more than Logan knows what it's like to chase down a Marvel version of a Bravo because we didn't get it here in English. So like,
right.
Yeah, on the one hand, it would suck if that's the only way to get it is through the judges thing or whatever, because you're gatekeeping like the special version of a hero. But on the other hand, like, they gatekept the Marvel versions of heroes to an entire continent.
Well, sure, but I don't hate that.
Well, but that to me, like one way
the judge part, the continent part.
Right. But like, I don't hate the judge part either, right? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But I don't hate it because I already had like the experience of, hey, the cool version of a hero I like got released in a way that I will likely not have access to unless I pay a bunch of money on the secondary market, which is what's happening now, right?
Sure.
It's that judges will get it. And if other people who are not judges want it, the same way that I was not European, then you'll have to pay a bunch on the secondary market. Does it suck? Absolutely. Do I empathize and feel with you? 100%. But
I could have bought one for $500 on Saturday. I didn't, but I could have.
Right.
The other cards like that are kind of of note are Smashing Good Time. Everybody's in for that. Smashing Good Time Red. Fate Foreseen, which is baller. And then Art of War, which is a lot.
Listen, Art of War is, and rightfully so, going to get a lot of the attention there. But can I just say, since I'm already on this Bravo complaint train, that somebody seems to like really hate Guardian players and them wanting to bling out their deck.
They already made Pummel.
That's what they gave Pummel, and then they added Fate Foreseen, and then they also added Smashing Good Time, which also makes it into the sideboard depending on the meta. Like, it's definitely been a card I've played in the past. So I just feel like we're going to get a cold foil Sink Below soon, and then it'll be a Sigil, and then like it's just going to be, that's just my life.
Cold foil Spinal Crush.
Yeah, I mean, eventually we're getting there, but
yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be on the give judges the world train.
Oh yeah,
because being a judge in any game is not easy. It takes a lot of knowledge. It takes a lot of social skill. To be a successful one. It takes a lot of attention to detail, and it takes a lot of time in and out of judging to pull it off. And so I am all about, you know what, print whatever the fuck you want for the judges. Like,
I could not agree more, because I look at it like this, right? How many judges were there roughly? I mean, I know you probably don't know the exact number, right? But like roughly, how many judges were at the Milwaukee event this weekend?
Probably 10.
Sure, right? I was guessing somewhere to 8 to 10 as well. Usually, the number of judges, that are working an event are like in that realm. Bigger events like a calling or a pro tour, they're going to have more or whatever because you have a ton of side events. But for the most part, like when you think about big events, the number of people working it should be compensated the same as the top 8 because they are also there putting in their time with expert knowledge. They're there for every round. They don't get to drop if they're having a rough time, right? So all of the things that we reward the players for, obviously, you know, they don't get the accolades that the players get. They don't get the gold foils or the PTIs or whatever. So like if they want to throw them cold foil packs that have some, you know, gems in it,
fucking go for it.
Absolutely. That's how you get good, you know, invested quality judges. I think that's an incredible asset for the game. I am down for it.
Absolutely.
Give them whatever they want.
I would also, you know, go a step further and say, do it for the casters. Like, go right ahead.
No, see, I'm a hater now.
Now you're a hater.
Yep, fuck those guys.
Because you don't get flesh and blood casting jobs.
Fuck those guys.
Well, okay. Sure. Yeah, fuck them right in their ear. That's exactly what we should do.
I mean, to be fair, like to the casters, you also have to have a bunch of knowledge and you have to be entertaining and you definitely have to know how to multitask. You've got production in your ear and you're like watching cues and you've got to have like knowledge of the players, not just like the game, but like the players and the narrative. And then you have to like deal with some big personalities in your downtime. Like if, you know, you're in a booth with some a-hole that's going on about how they're an author and a slumlord and whatever, like yeah, like you should get some compensation or whatever. I get it, but
yeah, Steven should be well compensated. That's
absolutely. Man is a saint.
Man is a saint.
Except for the weird Skittles thing. Like,
whoa, okay. Hold the fuck on. We need to hash this out right now. Okay.
Yes, peanut M&Ms. Okay. They're on my Rushmore of candy.
So it is a fundamentally flawed premise, and here's why. You are taking S tier M&M and comparing it to C tier Skittle. Now, if you want to go and say, okay, take peanut M&M against your choice of Skittles, then we can have the conversation. But that's not what was done here. What was done was plain Jane, dumb as fuck Skittles.
There is not a version of Skittles, and I mean even the ones that aren't actually Skittles but are actually like ecstasy or Molly, that is better than peanut M&Ms. I will absolutely destroy a bag of peanut M&Ms until I make myself sick. Like they are crack cocaine for this sugar addicted person over here.
And for me, while I grew up with peanut M&Ms, my dad ate them constantly. Sour Skittles I would take over peanut M&Ms. That I would do. Because sour Skittles, which I don't think they even make anymore, were absolutely great. They were S tier candy for as long as they were made, which wasn't very long.
Yeah, they just don't have the versatility.
What are you talking about versatility?
Like, is peanut M&Ms go great in a homemade trail mix? You can make popcorn and put peanut M&Ms with them, so you get like extra salty sweet. Like there is so much you can do with peanut M&Ms that you can't do with sour Skittles. Like I'm not putting pretzels and sour Skittles together in like my to munch go bag. Other people might do it, but I'm not a psychopath. All right, member, sure, but not a psychopath.
Okay, fair. The debate was flawed when the poll was released, and we had a long discussion about this over dinner on Saturday night because obviously Steven and Matt were both just sticking to their guns.
Yeah, look, and listen, this is how you know that I am passionate about this. This topic makes me agree with Flake. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know. But like I can't in my good heart just lie about this to stick it to Flake this time. Like I have to be just truth, and it is peanut. I like Skittles. I'm not even a Skittle hater, right? Like I'll eat them, but I cannot think of a scenario where I would actively choose them over a peanut M&M.
I would take peanut M&Ms over baseline Skittles. The only version of Skittle I would take over peanut M&Ms is sour. And I would not take another version of M&M over peanut M&M. Peanut M&M is the S tier M&M. Now, some people are trying to argue, but you have these fucking clowns trying to argue. Have you ever had cookies and cream? I have. They're far too sweet. They are way too sugary.
Best M&M is there's these like
it's crispy. No, it's crispy M&M.
There are these dark chocolate mint ones that are actually pretty fantastic.
Those are niche.
They are niche, and they're so niche that the second time I went to Ukraine, somebody asked me, because they couldn't get them there, if I would bring them to them, and I was like, yeah, I got you. And so like I put them in my suitcase and brought them, because I was like, I know what it's like to want
all dressed chips,
because those ones are good.
But the crispy M&M is probably right. Like it goes peanut M&M, crispy M&M. And then you kind of have this gaggle of weird M&Ms that clog up the rest of it.
You know what has been growing on me? The pretzel ones.
The pretzel ones are good. I think the pretzel ones
might actually like replace crispy, because they still have a very similar texture.
A little bit. Yeah, they're a little crunchier. And I don't know if I like it or not.
But the reason I like it, because I'll be honest, whenever I get M&Ms, like I will eat M&Ms just plain, but if I get them, I almost always get them in mind with them to purposefully be versatile, right? So is it something I want to put on ice cream, right? Like, so when I'm going there, like the crispy ones are all right, but I don't like the crispy ones on ice cream as much as I like peanut or the pretzel ones, for example, that sort of thing.
But we can agree that the shit tier of M&M is just M&Ms. Like base level M&Ms
are the worst M&Ms.
The fucking worst M&Ms. Like, by far. They're just shit. And they're staring across the aisle at Reese's Pieces and going, man, we wish we were that cool.
Actually, I'll take this back. It's a subclass of M&M, but I actually think the worst are the plain mini M&Ms.
Oh Jesus!
And then you get like it's just the hard candy shell.
It's just the shell.
Like chocolate flavoring pasted on the inside. It's like not even real. Yeah. It's like when you buy food and it's like it's got cheese product, right? Like mini M&Ms.
Like combos, combos. Those are just cheese product. We have now spent like 7 minutes on M&Ms. We can probably bounce out of that, but
look, I'm from Michigan. All right, we have M&M love out here.
There are several ways I can take that, and thank God we have FAP After Dark. Let's put it that way. Which, if you are not a member of our Patreon, you did not get to experience the joy that was FAP After Dark with Bryn from the Banished Zone, and then a monstrous heel turn by Charmer during. I think
2024 is going to be my villain era for Flesh and Blood. I think I'm just going to start cutting promos. James White said he wanted it, and I've got it in me.
You went on a nice, hard, unhinged rant, and I am simultaneously very happy and very fucking sad that I didn't record it. But that is FAP After Dark. It is not recorded, so we can go on massively unhinged rants. And
can I ask a question based on the FAP After Dark? And I'm being serious now. Why isn't Bryn your co-host? Because she's phenomenal and did way better than me.
Yeah, that she's very busy.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Successful in a band.
Yeah, in a band. Cool jobs. Really
has her own show.
Yeah, has her own show already. Really interesting background.
Okay, fair.
S tier human being. Like I do not draw those. Like I can't pull S tier human beings. That's why Jordan Nebby left.
That makes sense.
They are S tier human beings and realized that they're punching down, so they took off, and I had to scrape.
No, he wasn't far enough along his journey through therapy to have been over yet. Like he was working his way up, and then once he hit the surface, he just was like, okay,
right. But no, Bryn is wonderful. And was a blast to have her around, interacting with everybody. It was a great time. I think that we need to get Bryn on the show sometime soon. I know that we're currently, as of right now and today and blah 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 blah. I think we're gonna have Kiki Labatt on episode 99 because it's right on the eve of the NBA season and we're both basketball obsessed maniacs. So that works. And Bryn is also a basketball obsessed maniac. So maybe we just do a 4-pack. I don't know. We'll see how this works out. But I think the next one we do, I would like to have both Bryn and Greg on FAP After Dark to see all the worlds collide. I think that would be fun. I know you weren't there when Greg was doing the first one, but it was a treat. It was an absolute delight. And Bryn was also just S tier and perfect. So that's our Patreon only stuff. I want to just point out, because this was asked of me a couple of times this weekend, actually. And thank you to anybody that came up and said hi during the Battle Hardened. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for stopping and taking time to talk to me. But I got the question a couple of times of, I would join the Discord, but I'm not a patron. You don't have to be a patron to join the Discord.
Yeah, it's just open.
Just open. You can come on in. There are 2 locked channels for patrons. They are the patron channel for chatting and then the FAP After Dark channel. That's it. Everything else is open except for like the host channels, which obviously are locked even to patrons. So there's that too. But yeah, free to join. Just links in the show notes. Click, come on in. Water's fine-ish, unless Trevor's peed in it, which is possible. You've got Smucker's face. What the fuck?
Yeah, I finally figured out where in this Squadcast thing you can see what your audio settings are, and it does say, so you are currently, I don't know why, but you are receiving my full broadcast stream mix.
Awesome.
Is what it chose.
Great.
For some reason.
Greg,
so we can have Greg and Bryn on for like the what was it you said?
Oh, for FAP After Dark. Letting them. What in the fuck is that sound? Charmer?
Oh, sorry. That was just me listening to Power Man 5000.
When worlds collide?
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually didn't come through very well at all. So,
good. Because I was hoping that it would not come through well and that the ad would also muck it up so that we don't get hit with
the copyright strike.
The copyright strike. Yeah.
That's a good idea. We said copyright strike out loud. So
we also have it just enough for the bit, but
right. That's fine. Yeah. This is your weekly reminder that the 20K Realm Invitational weekends, December 1st through 3rd. If you're qualified, you should have received an email from the Realm. They're locking the points as of right now. So if you have 80 points or more of qualifier points, or if you won an invitational qualifier or top 8'd one of the brawls, you are already qualified. So 80 points or higher, but you do need to go check your email and respond to make sure that you're in the brawl. In the Realm Rumble, in the invitational. So check for that email, see if you got it. You can go to the Realm's website, Realm Gaming Network, to go ahead and take a look to see where you are on the qualified players list. There's a lot of people that I talked to that didn't think they were qualified. I'm like, well, how many points do you have? I don't know. So they went and checked. They're like, holy shit, I'm on the 80 point tier. I'm like, then you're in. So please take a look. And then if you are planning to go, let them know that you want your seat and come have a good time. Also, if you're not qualified, there's still plenty going on. There's still a 10K on 10K Classic Constructed Tournament on Saturday. There's still that qualifies for next year. There's still a 5K Team Sealed on Sunday. And if you're just into other games are being played. Magic, Pokemon, Alpha Clash, all kinds of shit. So yeah, this is the weekend you want to show up. If you want to see some weird shit that's happening, you can go to the Realm's Twitter page and see our friends Carolina and Elaine building a life-size Corsham. Because Corsham?
My wife asked me, she was like, what's with the tree? Why are they building a tree?
Yeah, it's a big fucking tree.
And I was like, well, I think, like, I'm not 100% certain, but if I had to guess, it's because of heroin. or the event in December, but probably both.
Probably heroin. Yeah. Man, Smack does weird fucking things. But this is already going. We're starting to just drift into After Dark territory. That's always a fun time. We should probably
I feel like for legal reasons, I should say I don't actually think Carolina and Elaine do heroin. They are responsible, mature adults, and so they do cocaine like the rest of us.
Right. Exactly. Or whatever pills are in the random baggie that somebody's handing Elaine. Yeah.
Okay, again, if you can't tell, this is a bit.
This is 100% a bit. It's a good bit, though. Like, I was enjoying it.
Smells good.
I love the smell of cocaine. We should probably do listener questions now.
Yeah, we probably should.
I
told you ahead of time that I was going to be unhinged. Like, I'm...
I bought a Blackstone today, so I spent a solid hour seasoning that fucking thing, so it's ready for me to cook on it tomorrow. But it's a beefy instrument, is what that is. If for anybody that doesn't know, Blackstone is a propane giant flat top griddle. So it's a cast iron monstrosity that you require. Obviously, cast iron requires seasoning so that it stays nonstick forever. Cast iron should have water on it exactly once, and that's to clean off any residue pre-seasoning. After that, you never wash it. You just oil it and cook on another layer of oil. And it just builds up and stays nonstick for basically forever if you take care of it. And this allows me to make like breakfast burritos at home or monstrous amounts of fried rice or whatever else I feel like making.
What it allows you to do is make Hank Hill proud of you because it is a propane powered.
It is vastly propane powered. It sucks gas. It is a lot. So let's go to our listener questions. First one from Donnie K. Donnie K gave us a litany of questions, and I'm just kind of filtering them through here. The Royal Rumble one I'm going to save for the Kiki episode, as Kiki is a giant wrestling fan, so that'll be a good one for that. And here we go again. You're just pushing buttons now.
I'm not. I'm literally playing with a stone, not touching anything, and I have no audio on my end. Triggering.
Mm-hmm.
I am.
Donnie says, do you think LSS will ever do a tournament like Magic the Gathering's Old Player Championship where the winner of the event gets to create a card? What hero/class would you make if you won? Derek?
I don't have to think about this because I'm never going to win anything.
Well, that's okay, fine. But do you think LSS will ever do this tournament?
Do I think that they'll ever... I don't think that they'll ever do something like this. I think that they'll do a number of different events, whether that be invitationals or like once they have enough Pro Tour winners, some sort of like top 8 invitational of all the Pro Tour winners or whatever.
A Masters tournament type of thing.
Yeah. I think that they'll do something like that for sure. The create a card thing is, I think, very difficult to do well because you don't want to give somebody free reign. Card game players are not necessarily game designers. I know that's hard to hear, but just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you're like good at the mechanics behind it. Ray Lewis is a hell of a football player, but I don't want to hear him talk about football. Case in point. Same thing with card game players. And I know that many of us, myself included, we all are members of the law firm of Dunning and Kruger, and we think that we're better than we are. But the reality is we're just not game designers. And then on top of that, it would be one of those weird things about how do you slot it into an existing set, right? How do you make sure that it fits within the ecosystem? How do you make sure that something is thematically appropriate? There's all of these things that you're going to have to put it on rails. And if it's going to be so on rails anyway, then there's no fun. I do think it would be fun to instead have your likeness be used for a card. Like, I think it would be cool if, if I won and I got it, like I've been saying for a long time, I want a Centaur hero and I just want their line of text to be, you can wear 2 sets of legs, because I just think that's thematically fun, right? Make it a guardian because that's my thing. Put my face on the Centaur and I'm good. Like, that's what I would probably pick. But the the reality is that even that, like, you know, what if the centaur, like, what if I'm trying to make a centaur hero is like, hey, I won this event, and they're like, okay, but you know, our set is all about wizards or whatever, and it's not going to fit because we don't want you to have storm striders and something else X, Y, and Z. It's just so hard. So I don't think that the like design a card thing will ever happen. I could see likeness being on a card, and I definitely see a bunch of cool events that they want to do in the future. But this particular one, I mean, even if I'm being honest, like if historically you look at the ones for Magic, like how many of the cards that were made from the Magic stuff like ended up being really fucking good? Like Dark Confidant was one, if I remember right.
Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah.
Shadow Mage Infiltrator.
Yep. Like,
yep. Sylvan Safekeeper wound up being busted in Legacy.
Yeah. So
Solemn Simulacrum.
I do still love. I love my robot.
Sad Robot.
Yeah, Sad Robot.
Sad Robot.
And he was so sad because the deck that I played him the most in was back when it was still called Type 2. God, I'm old. But like the Type 2 deck that I played was Death Cloud Ramp. So like it was your turn cycles were basically you were trying to pop Ninja Turtle. So if you're not familiar, that's Sakura Tribe Elder into the following turn, because now you'll be at 4, Solemn Simulacrum into on the next turn, so you'll be at 6. They're ideally at 3 at this point, and then you either Death Cloud for 3 because you're going to basically say there's no creatures on the board and neither of us have a hand, but also you have no lands and I have 3 lands, so we're going to restart the game, but I have a 3 land advantage. Try to dig yourself out. Now the other win con in the deck at the time, because it was legal, was Kakusho. So like if you couldn't pop Death Cloud for 3, then you just slam down a 5/5 dragon. And then like later, if you also, that was the beauty of the deck, right? Like if you pulled Death Cloud, then you could still swing with your Kakusho, get the damage in, blow up the board anyway, get the drain in. Like it was all synergistic and fun. But yeah, Solemn Simulacrum, I liked it. But also, again, case in point, really fucking good. So let's not have people design cards. How about that?
Yeah, they had to do, so when they had those cards in Magic, they had to do so many things to just say, abso-fucking-lutely not. We are not printing this. And they'd be like, fine, go back to the drawing board or whatever. And they'd be like, here, is this better? No! You fucking dork, of course. And eventually, like, it got to the point, like, Saporito, like, wore him down with Snapcaster Mage, right? Like, that got through design because that card was way better the way that it was designed prior. I'm not going to go into all of it, but that is the toned down version of the card that was presented. And so was Dark Confidant for that matter. Like, fuck. Yeah,
Confidant was originally way worse.
Yeah. But everybody wants to be the biggest thing. For me, I would make a Titan's Grip Warrior. If you didn't play World of Warcraft, Titan's Grip was an ability that warriors got that allowed them to swing two-handed weapons, one in each hand.
Yeah.
So I would just make a warrior that had the ability to swing two-handers. So you could have 2 Anathos, well, not Anathos' work, but 2 Dawnblades or 2 Talishars or 2 Decimator axes or whatever. And then all you have to do is figure out how to give them go again, so you can go axe you, right?
Yeah.
That always just seems fun to me.
So like I said, I've always wanted to do the Centaur thing just because I think it's thematically cheeky. If I was ever allowed to design a new class, and it would have to go through a bunch of iterations because I would want it to like actually be fair and not broken. The 2 that always jump out to me is I think Monk would be cool. I like the idea of being able to do it, like the attack would be on your hero, right? Mm-hmm. You're the unarmed attack, so you don't have a weapon, but you still have your hero attack. Or a druid. I love the idea of, and it would be a lot easier to do now that we have the rules around demi heroes that we have.
Right.
I love the idea of you start with a druid hero and you have no equipment, and then you play cards that let you shape change into demi hero versions of things that are in your inventory. And you like, I become a bear, I become a wolf, like that sort of thing. Like it would take a lot of work to balance it because
that'd be hard.
You're going back and forth between things and like what triggers it. But I do like the idea of like, you just don't have equipment. And it also is going to, and so instead, like the spots that would be your equipment slots are the demi hero slots that would be in your inventory. Mm-hmm. And, you flip flop between 3 or 4 different shapes.
Adaptive demi hero.
Yeah.
Moving on, next one's from Big Lou. After hearing you, I'm gonna guess this is supposed to be expound, not expunge, on your favorite art this past week. I was curious who'd you like to have to do art for Fab, who hasn't for the game yet, or who isn't primarily a fantasy artist. Would you like to see them do new cards or give new art to pre-existing cards?
I mean, is this gonna be like you and me just naming our favorite comic artists?
Well, I mean, or magic artists that haven't done anything for Fab yet.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah. So I guess that is the other way to go. But like when I read this, in my defense, I think it's because Flesh and Blood is such a hero-centric game. So for me, I think of like who do some of the like really iconic covers that I like for characters, and how would I want to see those as like a Flesh and Blood hero. So like when I read this, I was like, okay, I think it'd be cool to see like an Alex Ross hero, right? I think it'd be cool to see like Adam Hughes does a bunch of like well known for like the pinup stuff, but in my opinion, Adam Hughes does the best Wonder Woman. He's like very good at doing a muscular build for a woman. So I'd love to see him do like a Volda variant. I think Adam Hughes would kill a Volda.
Yeah.
Mark Brooks has had some really good stuff.
Mark Brooks is very good.
And he's very good at like making the characters feel like character unique. So like I'd like to see him. A lot of people who are listening probably also play Marvel Snap. So like if you like the Art Germ variant,
I'll say Art Germ is on my list.
Yep,
yeah.
Art Germ would be I think a very easy one to check off as well. Mark Brooks, I was just thinking about it because he's been doing this Twitter thing lately, where he's like, all right, he started with, he posted a thing. He's like, I think I draw the best. I don't know. I forget who started it, Psylocke or Rogue or something. And then like the next day he's like, all right, people have brought to my attention that, this other artist does a good Psylocke, but I think I do the best, like, Captain America. And then he's like, okay, well, somebody told me about Alex Ross, but I think I do the best Deadpool. And he's been doing this for, I don't know, like 5 or 7 days. But each one of the things he has posted on Twitter. So if you're not familiar, you can look up Mark Brooks on Twitter and look at those, just like follow that chain. And then imagine those bits that he's been doing, but as like a Flesh and Blood hero. And I think you'll see what I'm talking about. He's just very good at like taking a character and making them feel unique. So yeah, like those were the stuff that I was thinking. I was like, who does all of my favorite comic, covers, basically?
So living for comic book artists would be probably Mark Silvestri. I just think that style works very, very well with the Flesh and Blood universe. Art Germ was definitely on the list. David Finch is the other one that I think could do very, very well. Sadly, the one that I would want to see the most is no longer with us. And it's why am I blanking on the name all of a sudden? He did Fathom. He did
Michael Turner.
Michael Turner. Yep.
Yeah.
And he is, in my mind, like he died of cancer a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was just like a very quick.
If you guys don't know anything about comics, Michael Turner was very like pro person, like interaction community. So like even when he had
nicest fucking guy,
he was still doing shows, like losing his hair, signing stuff, doing sketches. Like, dude, he was a good dude.
Yeah. And but his Supergirl, his and stuff were like that were just top notch. When he drew Superman, Batman stuff, it was insane. But the biggest reason is because if you go and look at the Witchblade art, it is so fucking good, and that translates. Like
that as a Runeblade would be pretty cool.
Insane.
See, that's why I was also thinking of some of the ones because it was like what translates well to Flesh and Blood. So like I said, that's why I thought of Adam Hughes, because his Wonder Woman's like my favorite. He does a muscular woman well. And I was like, man, if I could see him do a Volda, that'd be awesome.
Right. And Silvestri did Darkness, right? And Darkness just has that look where it just works. And then Finch did Ascension and does a lot of like the heavier lined stuff. I think Jay Lee would also be very good personally, but it would be it'd be very chaotic. As far as a Magic artist that I would want to see come over, it's probably Richard Kane Ferguson. I think that his sort of chaotic style works super well with Flesh and Blood art. I don't know how good he'd be at doing heroes, but the cards would be absolutely legit. If you need examples of RKF stuff, Price of Progress, Arcane Denial, he's done so fucking many cards. And again, it's just a beautiful style. In my mind, I think it would fit really, really well with what they're doing in Flesh and Blood, and even more, and then also Tyler Walpole, who is a Magic artist and a comic book artist. And I feel like he can take his style and apply it very well. So I think that he would also do a good job.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about MTG artists and like ones that I think would fit Flesh and Blood, right? And then I was like, man, what was that one piece that I like remember? And now I've hit it. So if I was gonna pick one, it'd be Braum.
Yeah,
especially if we're talking like the Shadow and Light. Like, dude does some really good angels, good demonic stuff.
That is Mara's favorite artist.
Oh, interesting. Braum. He was one of my favorite MTG artists back when I was playing heavily. Like, I used to I had a binder that was just Braum stuff.
Yep. Braum would be incredible. I think he would do great too. Would I like to see them do new cards or give new art to pre-existing cards? I mean, 6 1/2 dozen the other. I would be totally down for any of it. Absolutely. I think that they could redo things. They could make new things, and it would all look awesome. So, in my personal opinion, all of it.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Yeah. Next question is from Bryn, the aforementioned Bryn, that Charmer thinks should be co-hosting the show with me. What mechanic from a different card game would you like to see / think could best be implemented in Fab? This is fucking hard. Because there's so many things. And I've been trying to think through this for a while now. And I don't know.
All right, so here's the thing. It's going to be a balancing nightmare, okay? And I'm fully aware of that, but hear me out. Poison.
Nope. I'm out.
I know you're out.
Nope. Abby tried to fucking go that route for a year. And nope.
But the trick is that so like in my mind, in order to give the poison counters, right? Like this would be like an assassin mechanic, and I feel like, as weird as it sounds, it might not even be poison. Like the better way to describe it would probably be gill toss. Let's call it gill toss. But I've been thinking about poor Arachne, and like he needs some sort of like big damage payoff. Like all the contract stuff is fine, but outside of getting your equipment back, which is already powerful, you don't really have a lot of incentive to like ensure that your contracts hit. So I think having like the threat of the silver representing damage somehow, whether that's like you cash it in to have somebody poisoned or you throw it at them. It's like pocket sand, but with copper pieces, silver pieces, gold pieces, the full 9.
Okay.
Maybe yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's too American. Like where if you have enough money, you can just have somebody be dead.
That if it's America, if you have enough money, you can do anything.
Right.
Like the only crime in America is being poor. That's it. Is not being able to afford a good enough lawyer or to bribe the right people to get you out of whatever awful fucking thing you did. That is it. So, sure. Sounds great. Like the one that comes to mind is like global enchantments. having things similar to like where to Alpha Clash, and also
So like Horsham?
kind of, I guess.
Sorry.
Like it sort of does that. So does Library. But
I was like, that was, to me, Horsham was meant to be like that. It just
doesn't.
doesn't. Right.
Right. So maybe that's a toe that they don't want to dip. The other one, because I think it would work with the pitch system pretty well, is they kind of have this with Endless Arrow, but a buyback mechanic on non-attacks. Like you pay over for it to bounce back to your hand, when its effect triggers. Like that's the other one. But that's dangerous because it feels like every Magic mechanic since buyback has just been some version of buyback.
Pretty much, right? Because you get like flashback, which is just buyback
from the graveyard, yeah. Or any regrowth effect is just buyback, but you used a card for it. So Snapcaster Mage is just buyback but you have to play it this turn, right?
It's buyback on a body.
It's body back, yeah. So they just kept like doing things like that where it was just fucking versions of buyback. And I think once you start down that rabbit hole of everything is everything just becomes a version of buyback. It just, because it's easy. It's super easy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's a hard one though. Like that is a very difficult one. Like I thought, because I sat there and picked apart Star Wars TCG, the original, and there's nothing that I could think of that would translate well.
I mean, so like there's a couple of different games. Both the Elder Scrolls Legends and Runeterra both had mechanics where like you could essentially steal cards from your opponent's deck and then you're able to play them. That's kind of like what Infiltrate already does,
right?
Anyway. But the big hesitation I have against that is obviously cards are such an important resource in Flesh and Blood that things start to get kind of wonky, even with just like an extra card.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason that Infiltrate is still just a 0 for 3 and doesn't like seem like it's doing a lot, and it's already.
Yeah, it doesn't have a bunch of extra text stapled to it because extra text would throw it over the top. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. Yeah, Poison is like the easy out for me just because like I just keep thinking about like what's the payoff for Arachne. Like I enjoy playing the contract stuff. It just feels like he's best suited for Fatigue, and outside of Regicide, you don't get like any sort of like real payoff for doing the banishings otherwise. So I wanted him to get some sort of like, okay, you banish all this stuff, now here's like your big damage payoff or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get that someday. I don't know, but
yeah, maybe. The next question is from Greg, and we kind of started talking about this earlier. Question: should cold foil heroes be locked behind judge packs? Yes. I don't fucking care. Like,
should they be? I don't care.
Right.
Like here's the reality. I fully understand the folks that are upset by this because they're like, here's my thing, right? Like on the one hand, like you're saying to yourself like, hey, like I wanted to be able to get one of, the copies of my hero because I like having him in cold foil or whatever. And before I could go win an event. The only thing that's happened is like that just went away. Everything else is still the same way that you could get it. You can still buy it on the secondary market. And I saw a lot of folks on Twitter that were like, well, like, look at all these amazing cards in the judge pack. Maybe I'll just judge events instead of playing. And it's like,
please do.
One, sure. But also like that was always an option before. Like
never hasn't been.
You're not like cheating the system somehow. Like that was always welcome. It's just, the people who are diehards do it, and the people who like, if you're somebody who's doing EV calculations, like judging's probably not for you.
No, it really isn't.
Like, I mean, that's just the reality. Like, yeah, the judge thing might calculate to being better EV, but the reality is you're not factoring in the time spent with all of the players and everything else. And like the people who are our judges do it because they love the game, right? Like it's not an
Most of
EV
the time,
calculation for them.
And you can usually find it's pretty easy to find the ones that it is an EV calculation for.
Yeah.
They're usually the ones that are taking way more breaks than the other judges.
Well, and you just don't see them come back.
Right. And then they're
Like,
usually
that's the
one
other
and
bit.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we had piggybacking off of this from the Polish guy. Could you discuss adult heroes as Majestics in general? Personally, I think it's something to change back since it is the only game piece really needed to play Classic Constructed. Yeah, I agree here. I don't like adult hero Majestics. I don't think it makes sense. I've had this discussion with other games where gatekeeping game pieces that are necessary. And I mean, like, if you want to play this hero, you have to have this specific card. There are no other options. I think that is a bad look, personally. And the cold foil thing, great, do that. As Majestics, there are so many things that I don't like about this. One, it shows up in the expansion slot. Two, so you're limit, you get a hero instead of a card you need if you already had the hero. If they're just tokens, they're just tokens. It's easy. If you're, if you need other cards, like pulling them feels bad outside of the first one you open. And it's not a good introductory piece to the game either. If somebody goes and they go to a Bright Lights event and they play Dash, let's say they played Dash IO and they loved it, or they played Dash, whatever, it's not called Dash IO, it's Dash Database. And they loved how the deck played, and they wanted to go build the Classic Constructed version of that deck. They're going to find that the hero is not readily available. And that's not great. I don't like that look at all. Personal opinion, your mileage may vary.
So I'm of a little bit of a different mind. You did hit what I feel like is like the biggest point for me, though, which is just that they don't feel good to pull. And I would even go as far as to say, like, even when I pulled the first one, they don't feel good to pull. I never really remember opening any of the Majestic heroes, past, present, whatever, and being like excited that I opened that as my Majestic. And with recent sets, the sets have now begun to feel like they are either Majestic heavy, like in Dusk Till Dawn, where it felt like I was just being bombarded with the number of Majestics that were in that set, which then means it's that much harder to get your play sets, or they feel like if there's less, but they're, gated behind expansion slots or whatever, then now they also feel less accessible. And so, as you said, right, like, even if it's your first one, I just don't think pulling one feels good. And so to me, like, that's the biggest offender. Like, I want them out of the Majestic slot just because I want to pull other Majestics.
Right. And that,
outside of that, regarding the play part, like, I fully understand wanting to have them very easy to get. And I think that making the game more accessible is always better, which means that I am probably pro putting them back in the token slot. I will also say, however, that there are two things to consider about having them in the Majestic slot. One, right now, commoner format's only young heroes, but if they ever wanted to do a full CC size commoner, then this gives them a way to gatekeep certain heroes. Don't think that's the real issue here, though. The thing that sometimes I think people forget about game design and where cards are in your set and how they appear in cycles and all of these like little things. Like, one of the things I noticed in Bright Lights, for example, is that the border is different for cards with Evo upgrade, right? It's not something that they ever call out, but it's just that nice subtle visual cue to subconsciously nudge players to say, like, hey, this is one of those cards that cares about your Evos. Border's different, right? There are certain things you do to help your players learn a game and then move into the deeper territory, right? This is a set where they have started, and I assume this is going to be their thing going forward, where they were really trying to play up the, you crack packs and play sort of thing, right? And I feel like they're trying to push Young Heroes as being the true introductory experience. And just the simple fact of putting Adult Heroes in the Majestic slot means that for a player to take that next step in their experience, they have to now be committing themselves to going to CC, putting new cards in your deck, seeking things out. Is it ideal? No. Does it look good from an accessibility standpoint? Absolutely not. I am not arguing those things. But there is, believe it or not, like a teaching or a game design element where you're subconsciously telling your players, okay, you're going from, the Young Heroes, the introductory, the crack packs and play, the blitz decks, whatever. Now you're going to kind of like big boys, big girls, big peoples, whatever one you identify with.
Your preferred nomenclature.
You're going into that pond now. And so, you're entering expensive territory, you're entering, more depth territory. And that is a signal to that, that group of players. Again, I think there are probably better ways to do it, but I at least understand it. It's not like this is I look at this and say, like, I have no idea why they would ever do this sort of thing. Like, believe it or not, there's like a legitimate reason for doing this. I just don't know if it's the best way, right?
Right. I agree. Well, Derek, I think it's time to get out of here. I'm tired. You tired? I'm tired.
I am tired. It is after midnight here, and I still have stuff that I have to do before I go to bed, and then I have to get up early and go into the office tomorrow.
Ugh, going to the office is the fucking worst.
It is the worst.
Okay, well, let's thank some patrons really quick. Let's go ahead and start with our associate producers, Andy, C-Dubs, Sindra, and Kenny, and the Salty Sea Cat. And then we'll go to our executive producers on up. We have Blaze Storm, Dom, Josh Levy. I gotta get a little bit of a push in for this one. The last little bit of every duty at hand. Lance Good Thrust. There it is. Matt Two Tokes, Papa Mike, Alex, Philip, Rich, Taylor, and Trevor. Senior Good Thrust. You can never stop being a patron at the level you're at, because I need to be able to say this every show, and if the visual cue's not there, I won't say it.
Lance Good Thrust. This is what you get when you get my full audio. I can do a stadium announcement. And now, entering the arena at 6'5", 222 pounds from parts unknown, Lance Good Thrust.
There it is. That's all we ever need in our life.
Yep.
Thank you all for being patrons of Flesh and Pod. If you are interested in becoming a patron of Flesh and Pod, you can go to patreon.com/fleshandpod. The link is in the show notes. There are 6 tiers. Don't quote me on that. For you to choose from. Any tiers gets you access, though, to the FAP After Dark gatherings. The next one should just be in a couple weeks, where you'll get to hear me and charmers of guest hosts say things that we don't always necessarily want to be recorded. Not that it's a hot take cannon or anything like that, just more of a you think we're unhinged now, wait until you turn the recorders off. But so yeah, please join in at all levels. Get access to FAP After Dark, so feel free. If you want to reach the show, you can send us an email at fleshandpod@gmail.com. You can join the Discord. The link is in the show notes. Yep, all 5 fingers straight up.
So I was reaching the show.
Oh, I thought you were again expressing anally and opening us up for Blasmafet. Okay. But where was I? Oh yeah, you can also all remember that all complaints will go to Flesh and Pod Legal. which is a subsidiary of Black Hole Legal, which is still the trash can next to Jordan Kennedy's desk. Charmer, where can they find you?
I think after tonight's episode, you can find me at the local psychiatric facility where I will be wearing some comfortable and grippy socks.
And trying to win at therapy yet again. If you need to get a hold of me, you can I'm the one that's running all the Flesh and Pod socials. So that's pretty easy. But if you want to send me a personal message, my DMs are open on Twitter at Logan Peterson. Just don't let the bots find out again, because that's such a fucking nightmare. You can also, like I said, my DMs on Discord are open to anybody I share a server with. So you can just ping me on Discord if you have anything you want to ask, or if you just want to say hello, or if you want to say, hey, I'm going to be at this event. Are you going to be there? Yada, 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 yada. So feel free to reach out there. Yeah, that's about it. I got nothing else. The tank I'm out of gas. Played 18 holes of golf. Put together a griddle. Watched Green Bay lose a game they shouldn't fucking lose. Yeah, I'm done. So have a good night, everybody. Bye.